guys, it's your man DadaLorian. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's jump right into it. So today's topic is about Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker explained in the new trilogy. And this topic, you know, I've seen it floating around. I've seen it in other videos. I wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on it. So I know there's been, you know, so much hype with Luke Skywalker and seeing kind of like prime Luke Skywalker return in, you know, the last season of The Mandalorian, which was just amazing. And I'm still on an emotional high, like, you know, many other fans and creators. So that was just great. It was so cool to see his character officially in that timeline. And then, you know, there's this comparison, you know, obviously where there's a little, there's 2 sides, 2 different feelings that are going on, you know, with, you know, prime Luke, the Luke that we all know of and kind of the Return of the Jedi time, and then the Luke that we have in the new trilogy where, you know, it was a little bit of a different adaptation of Luke Skywalker than what a lot of fans were expecting, you know, going into The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. But I'm making this video to kind of give my 2 cents on why I understand that version of Luke Skywalker and why I'm okay with it, why I've grown to be more okay with it. This is just my opinion. I'm curious to hear everyone's opinions. I know everyone's got tons of them about the new trilogy and Luke, but this is just my opinion and why I'm okay with it. So, going back to Return of the Jedi, okay, and Sam Witwer, you know, voice actor who's done a lot of stuff in Star Wars, you know, did Starkiller and Darth Maul in Rebels. I seen a video of him where he was talking about this, and he was saying, you know, the last time we seen Luke Skywalker, he was, you know, facing up against Palpatine, right? And, you know, in the midst of trying to save his father. And, you know, Palpatine wants him to strike him down. And this is a guy who drops his weapon in front of his enemy. And he's like, no, you're not going to win today. Like, that is not the Jedi way. And I'm not giving in to the dark side. Literally drops his weapon in front of his enemy. You know, that's the Luke that we knew of. You know, that's the Luke that we left off with. You know, during that time period. And then fast forward into, you know, The Last Jedi, you know, you have this broken, beaten down version of Luke Skywalker who's about to, you know, strike down his own nephew, you know, because he senses, you know, the dark side has overtaken him. So it was kind of a mix of emotions when you think of that, when you think of his character. Like, it just seems so out of character that he would do something like that to strike down, you know, his own nephew, you know, who's training under him as a Jedi, even though there was still conflict within, you know, Ben Solo. So I think that there was, and I totally agree with Sam Witwer on that, you know, where it's like, yeah, it's definitely a night and day difference in terms of, you know, the attitude and the true characteristics of Luke Skywalker. So when we seen him show up in, you know, The Mandalorian, the end of, you know, season 2, yeah, we were definitely happy about that because that was the Luke that we were expecting, you know, going into the new trilogy, right? But here's why I said I'm okay with it, with what they did with Luke. And this would probably make sense for anyone if you think about it. Like, you spent all this time, you know, and we know that Luke, you know, was traveling the galaxy and getting Jedi artifacts and building up his new Jedi school, all that jazz. And I highly recommend, if you haven't, definitely check out The Rise of Kylo Ren. If you haven't read those comics, this kind of gives a little more emphasis as to kind of what happened, even though I still want to see that damn fight between Luke and, gosh, Snoke. I think that would be dope. I hope they make like a show or something where we can kind of see like what the hell happened. I want to see that fight because he messed Snoke up. So I want to see, you know, I want to see that moment. I think that'd be cool. But anyway, if you haven't read, you know, Rise of Kylo Ren, read those comics. Give some good emphasis to, you know, the whole turning of the dark side, you know, for Ben Solo, and moments with Luke. But anyway, why I understand and why I accept Luke in the new trilogy, it's like this, man. If you built up, you know, you spent all this time traveling the galaxy, getting Jedi artifacts, trying to rebuild the Jedi Order, essentially, and you got all these young people who trusting you, their families trusting you to take care of them, and, you know, you spent all this time investing and building up this whole new project, and the school and investing in these young people. And mind you, your own nephew, right? Like that, your flesh and blood ends up turning to the dark side and destroys all of that, killing and slaughtering, you know, the students in your school. That's enough to drive anyone back and say, you know what, maybe this was a mistake. Maybe like I shouldn't do this anymore. The Jedi need to end. You know, that's enough for anyone to say, like, you know, everyone, they trusted me. You know, all these young people I was building up, and you know, now everyone's dead. So, you know, like this was a mistake. And then to have to go and tell his sister, have to go and tell Han, like, yeah, look, I messed up. You know, I failed Ben. You know, he turned to the dark side. And you know, I couldn't imagine the amount of guilt and shame that, you know, anyone would, you know, be carrying, you know, with that kind of perception. Like, you know, that's a big responsibility with all the lives, you know, that were let down, you know, throughout that process. You know, so, and Luke, you know, obviously took all of that, you know, shame on himself. So, you know, I understand it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just me. Like, that's enough to drive anyone to isolation, which is exactly what he did. And then going into the new trilogy, like, yeah, understanding Luke, it wasn't, what we got in The Mandalorian was awesome. That's what we wanted. And I'm so glad that as fans that we got that moment. But for me, I understand the new trilogy and what they did with Luke. It wasn't about that particular Luke Skywalker. Like, he even mentioned that, like, you know, yeah, Ben turned to the dark side, and, you know, I ignited my lightsaber in, you know, anger and frustration. You know, he was, you know, about to confront Ben, and, you know, Ben, all he seen, you know, was his enraged master, and he, you know, seen the face of a scared boy, you know, whose master had failed him. You know, I'm paraphrasing, something like that. But, you know, I understand Luke, you know, in that moment, you know, because in the new trilogy, it's about him passing on everything that he learned, everything that he was taught. It was about passing it on. It wasn't about him being Luke Skywalker. So I get it, but I also get both sides. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the Luke that we wanted, and I understand the Luke that we got. And it's just kind of one of those things that's just what it is. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. You know, like, I've seen this topic floating around, and, you know, I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it, because it's like, you know, I try not to be a person that just floats on one way. I try to look at things from, you know, different perspectives, and I try to keep the positivity alive, and, you know, yeah, you know, I don't want any, you know, negativity at all. So, you know, I don't want to bring that, you know, nastiness to the fandom, because we got too much of that. But I do understand both sides, and that's why I want to do this video, is just to kind of talk about that. So, without further ado, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. What did you think about, number one, Luke in The Mandalorian? I absolutely enjoyed it. I know the CGI was a little bit different, but hey, it was still Luke, man. It was Luke. I don't care. It was Luke. It was Luke, and I was happy about it. And then, do you guys agree with me on the understanding, you know, of his character? Like, you know, this was a different time period of Luke, and different seasoned perspective of Luke, and different things have happened in his life going into the new trilogy. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, yeah, you can kind of understand why, you know, anyone will push themselves into isolation based on the things that have happened, you know, to his character. It wasn't the Luke from Return of the Jedi. That was a totally different Luke. This Luke, you know, in the new trilogy has experienced some different things. And so that's why I understand it. But I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts, so make sure you comment below, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's converse. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like this video. I got videos coming out, you know, pretty much every day, every week. And if you're on TikTok, check me out there, DadaLorian. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys for the next video. Peace.